You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Thursday Night AngryMarks.com Pro Wrestling and Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. My name is Stevie J, and we've got the gang all together here tonight. Let me first introduce Jason Harland, a.k.a. The Great Sudoku.
This week only, I am the Great Universal Sudoku. No, scratch that. I am better than that. I am the Great Multiversal Sudoku.
All right. He is a man of many titles, but I believe Abby is just one. Abby, you're not putting any universal on your name, are you?
No, I'll just be Parallel Universe Abby tonight.
I take it that's a parallel universe where SmackDown doesn't exist.
God, that was horrible. It was so bad. I felt so bad.
Well, did it annoy you that AJ Styles got pinned again? Is that your biggest problem?
It did. That bothered me, especially when you had Corbin and Apollo Crews in that match. But no, it just, from the beginning, it just felt like the same old, same old.
Kind of, but they teased that anybody was eligible for the Battle Royal, and you had women standing there, and I'm like, ooh, are they going to go the Lucha Underground route and give us an intergender match? No, of course not. This is WWE. What was I thinking?
No. The only time they were ever going to do that was when China was wrestling for the Intercontinental title. Other than that, no chance.
It was just, looking at it, and even the announcement of Shelton Benjamin, who, I love and know and with Suzuki-gun, it was like, okay, this is going to be the show that gets the veterans that nobody knows anymore and that nobody really wants to see, and that gets the same old booking, while Raw gets, Finn and Seth Rollins in the main event at SummerSlam, and all the new cruiserweights, and Sasha Banks as women's champion, and then we have fucking Eva Marie and her narrator on SmackDown. To me, that just,
Yeah, the funny part is she's all read everything, and she's on the blue show, so maybe she should have dyed her hair blue.
And she got a lukewarm reaction, but oh my God, did Carmella get crickets when they announced her? I mean, just no reaction from the crowd at all.
Not
just deafening silence.
Yeah, not an NXT crowd there for the SmackDown Live. That they didn't know her from Adam.
They should have spent the time, or some of the time, that they gave Eva and her narrator. Eva and her narrator, which just sickened me and made me nauseous, should have given some of that time to doing, I don't know, little vignettes on the new people before they came out.
Not a bad idea, but does the live format lend itself to that? That was easier to do when they pre-taped it, and then they could add that stuff in post.
Yes, because you have that entrance, what do they call that? The Titantron, the entrance screen where they show the wrestler's entrance. Why don't you just show that to the arena, to the people live, and have your camera tight on that, or just have a feed of that going out through your TV feed too, and there you go.
If they can do it on Raw, why can't they do it on, SmackDown?
I guess they just have to get used to the mentality of producing it like Raw. Maybe they're just... I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. This is only week 2 of SmackDown Live. I don't know if they're fully up to
technically
speed
it's
yet.
like week 1,
Yeah.
And I'll give them some time, but they did not get off on the right foot Monday.
You're more patient than me. I have tapped out on SmackDown for 2016 after one show done.
I mean, with Ziggler getting the nod, it's like, yeah. As many times as...
Sorry, I was just going to say, can we all just agree that's a placeholder until after SummerSlam? I think Ziggler is just there for Dean Ambrose to get a win over. I don't think they're really taking who Dean faces at SummerSlam seriously.
Well, then that just shows they're not taking SmackDown seriously, which is a problem.
but I think the thing that's going on here, and you can correct me if you disagree, Abby, is that they're working on the John Cena AJ Styles program. That's going to take place at SummerSlam, and when AJ gets another win over John, he's going to challenge Ambrose for the title.
If he gets another win over Cena.
I don't see any reason why not, because Cena has basically admitted he's a part-timer now, and if he's not going to be on the road all the time, he needs somebody to step up and fill his shoes.
Well, I agree with that. Most people with common sense agree with that.
But
I'll tell you what my
view
view is with that, too. It's like what we've seen happen with AJ Styles, and, you know, he got his big push. He went for the world title early on, didn't get it, and I'm kind of fearing that's what they're going to do with Finn Balor on Raw, that they're putting him way early into the world title picture. He's not going to win it, and he's going to kind of take that same path AJ Styles did to obscurity. It's like, welcome to the big time, kid. Now we're going to bury you.
Well, since everybody is bad-mouthing, you know, Balor winning, it's like, what is your problem? You hated Roman Reigns. You hated Roman Reigns. He didn't need to win. Finn comes in and wins. They had two ways to go with it. They put Balor into it. They could either have him buried on his first night, or they could have him win and go on and main event SummerSlam. And now it's like, well, it's too much too soon. It's not fucking too much too soon. The guy's been around 16 years.
Yeah, he's
and
been
if he goes over at SummerSlam, I'm fine with it. But I mean, if they, like I said, if they do kind of like the mirror image of what they did with AJ Styles and just say, okay, yeah, your main event in quotation marks, and just have him be a jobber to the stars, is it really worth him being on the main roster for that?
Let me just be the one to say I don't have any problem with him getting a big push on Raw. If this is supposed to be the new era, the new blood, the new beginning, I'm perfectly fine with them putting a rocket up his ass, because he's already been a star in New Japan and NXT. That's the only thing to do with him now, is take him to the moon on Raw.
Yeah, and I like that idea too. Do I think he's going to win at SummerSlam? I think it might be at this point 50-50. As we get closer, we'll see how they build it. But, I mean, Reigns has been put on the back burner for now because Vince is not happy with him for failing a drug test. But it's not like they're going to get rid of him or push him down and have him doing curtain jerking matches with, you know, Zack Ryder.
No.
They're still real high on Seth, you know, so it's like, and the rumor is that Balor's first damn feud is going to be with fucking Dad Bod Jericho. So, you know, if you take all of those things and wrap them up in a ball and look at them from Vince McMahon's perspective, then no, Finn's not going to win at SummerSlam. If you take them separately and think, okay, plans can change and they're really looking at doing things differently, then maybe he can win. Maybe he will win. The next 3 weeks will tell us.
Yeah, it's too soon to say, but for 1 week, for the first week, at least they're making him seem like a big deal to people who aren't watching NXT. They have sent a clear signal with this one that this is your guy of the moment, this is your guy of the future.
And hopefully, you know, Raw was good. Let's see if they can keep it up. We know they can't, because they can't do that for 3 hours each and every week, but it was a good start.
It'll be interesting to see once the Cruiserweight Classic is over and they add this Cruiserweight division in, because I think if they devote adequate time to the Cruiserweight division, that they are going to be able to fill that 3 hours out without a lot of filler.
I've been sort of cautious on my position on that. I know on the show last week I said that SmackDown needed the Cruiserweights more than Raw because they need to really build up the excitement of being alive every Tuesday night. But I can temper that enthusiasm for them being on SmackDown with the idea that, yeah, Raw is the longer show, so maybe it needs the Cruiserweights more. Maybe.
I think it does, because otherwise... Well, no, because SmackDown just looks like the redheaded stepchild. And like I said, I am the redheaded stepchild, so I know how they look. But like I said, I'm willing to give it time, but right now it just the opening shot of SmackDown with the people on the roster on the apron is like, fuck, you compare that to the opening shot of Raw with the roster spread out all over the ramp. It just looked so sad.
And that was the other reason I said put the Cruiserweights on SmackDown, is because SmackDown got the short end of the stick in the draft, because Raw got 3 picks for every 2 of SmackDown. So if you're going to establish a whole new brand on a second show, then put them on the show that needs more bodies. I don't know. It just seemed more logical to me. But again, longer show, maybe they need it more. But they certainly have more talent than SmackDown does. So it's hard for me to completely be 100% sold that cruiserweights are better on Raw.
Yeah, I'd rather see them on SmackDown. I'd rather see that extra hour be put at the front end or the back end of SmackDown and be exclusively cruiserweight but branded to SmackDown. But yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think actually you put forward the idea last week, Jason, that they should just have a 1 hour lead in or a lead out called, the Cruiserweight SmackDown. Like, just that show, that hour, if they're going to do a 3 hour program, instead of doing a pre-show, just do a Cruiserweight show.
Yep. Yeah, have Raw be 2 hours, have SmackDown be 2 hours, and have a Cruiserweight show that is 1 hour.
I'm totally fine with that. I mean, they used to do that with NXT sorry. Actually, yeah, they did do that with NXT. What am I saying? I don't need to correct myself because NXT used to be before SmackDown, didn't it? I seem to remember it that way. For the period of time that it replaced ECW on Sci-Fi, they would do NXT live first, and then they would tape SmackDown after that.
Yeah, they would tape them back to back. I don't think they aired them back to back, but yeah, they would tape them.
Was that when NXT was like a competition show back when it first started?
Right, yeah, when it was kind of a game show and they weren't really wrestling, but they were competing in all these different contests.
Like with Wade, that was back when Wade Barrett and the whole Nexus crew was on there.
Right, yeah, Barrett and Bryan and Heath Slater and all of them. So, it could be done if they wanted to. If they actually cared, they could do it that way. But, of course, Stephanie has to be painted as the genius. Oh, look at me. I'm so smart. I'm bringing the cruiserweights here because I believe in excitement. And yay, look at me. Look at how smart I am.
We need to drop Homer going, I am so smart. SMRT.
SMRT.
I mean, yeah, SMART.
That's the only thing I have against the new Raw is it's the same old shit when it comes to her. Like, if you really want a new Raw, can she just go away?
Well, what do you expect? This is the woman who has sat down and said numerous occasions that it is her job to put face talent over, and she thinks she does a great job of it because the more she's hated, the bigger heroes they look like. You're out there fucking emasculating them and slapping them across the face. You're not getting anybody over. You're emasculating these men.
And nobody ever gets a comeback. No, nobody ever gets to slap her. Nobody ever gets to put her in her place.
Or overtalk her or anything.
That was beautiful, but that was one time.
Yeah, one and only one time with the guy that they believed was the next John Cena. That's the only guy who got it. So, doesn't work when everybody else gets emasculated except for him. But hey, let's not emasculate Jordan J. Garber because I believe we're going to get him on the air right now for Jordan's Corner. We're doing it a little earlier this week. So, Jordan, please join us.
Hello, world. How's it going?
Hey, Jordan. What's up, my man?
Not much. I'm just walking down the street to Winnipeg, Manitoba, near a beautiful waterfront street, ready to hang out with some friends. It's going to be a good night. What are you guys up to this evening?
Well, we were just talking about Raw and SmackDown Week 2, the fallout from the draft, and what we thought of those shows. So give us your 2 cents. What do you think about the state of Raw and SmackDown this week?
Yeah, honestly, I love how they're going with this. This is great. You know what? They have, it's just like what it used to be in a way. It's kind of like a flash of the past, and I love that because I was a big fan of when Raw was its own brand and SmackDown was its own brand, and seeing all the returns happening on SmackDown, Shelton Benjamin, a bunch of surprises, James Ellsworth, just kidding. But no, seeing Raw and SmackDown just being separate brands again, that's so exciting for me to see. I'm so pumped for it.
All right, but do you think that SmackDown is getting the short end of the stick in terms of talent?
No. As a matter of fact, I know they have a bunch of veterans, but I think they have the stronger roster.
Really? Even with fewer people, you think that's the better brand?
Well, you got to think of it this way. Where's your I know I brought this up on the CWE podcast, which you can check out every Tuesday. Every Monday on CWCanada.ca. Cheap plug. But like I was saying, what was I going to say? What was I talking? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I just got distracted walking by here. What was I going to say? Do you remember? Was I going to say something?
The SmackDown brand has the better roster. You believe
Yeah,
they do.
okay. Cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, the SmackDown has a better They do have a better roster. The current WWE champions there. And I know they're coming up with the WWE Universal Championship. But you know what? It's so new to me that I can't get used to it yet. You know what I mean? I just think SmackDown is a stronger roster. Having Roman Reigns on Raw doesn't mean you have the strongest roster. You have John Cena on SmackDown. You have Dean Ambrose on SmackDown. You have AJ Styles on SmackDown. And you're going to have a bunch of all these returns and debuts. I think what they're going to do is I think that SmackDown's going to be the bigger brand eventually.
Well, you do make an argument, so I got to give you your respect for that. You've created a position and stuck to it. But since you mentioned the Universal title, what do you think about the fact that Finn Balor got put over so strong his first night on Raw, and he's slotted for that fight for that title at SummerSlam with Seth Rollins?
In my opinion, most of all, it's great news to see Finn Balor excel and having his first match on Raw being in the main event. However, I just hope he's not ever there for like 2 years fighting like the same main event guys week in and week out. I kind of wish they kind of moved him towards like the mid card first and then worked his way up to winning the championship. That way the fans would enjoy it more and be more proud of it. But still, it's great to see him debut on Raw and have him be the number one contender. It's going to be great. Hopefully he wins the title, but it's quite a quick push if you ask me.
It is pretty quick, but some people are in favor of it, some aren't. So it seems like you're kind of leaning towards the more cautious approach. Like you would have had him start somewhere in the mid-card, maybe fight for one of the secondary titles.
Yeah, he would have started out like that, but another thing in this business is injuries. If he would have got injured, then everyone would have said, oh, Jordan Garber's the idiot now. So I guess everyone has their own valid point, and I respect any opinion that anyone has about it.
All right. Well, what did you think of Battleground? Speaking of opinions, what was your opinion of that show as a whole?
I didn't catch too much of it, but I heard about some of the news. We heard that Bayley debuted on the main roster, so that's great news. I honestly can't form a very educated opinion about that because I didn't watch the pay-per-view. But my question to you guys is, did you guys enjoy it?
It felt like a throwaway pay-per-view to me.
Yeah, Jason took the words out of my mouth. Like, it was okay, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. What about you, Abby?
It was better than some of them. I mean, it felt like they put more effort into it than they did a bunch of the other ones they've done this year. Like most of the ones this year.
The one thing that really stands out to me on first reflection about the show is that we've now firmly established that every show has to go past the top of the hour. And I really don't get why that's the new norm for the WWE Network. What are they trying to prove?
No, that's the new norm,
They really could have done
period.
without that highlight reel segment. That sent me right to bed. I'm like, you know what? I don't really care about the main event. I don't care what's going on with it. This thing is running long. You know, I'm really bored seeing Chris Jericho and Randy Orton. This just isn't doing it for me. Good night. I gotta get up and watch New Japan in the morning and turn it off.
And think about it too, that Randy Orton's on SmackDown. Like, this looks like a strong roster, strongest that it's ever been, probably in the earlier eras. I honestly think that SmackDown,
real strong.
Bunch of part-timers. However, if you could work your brownie points straight with these part-timers and try to figure everything out, it could be a huge success.
That remains to be seen, but I'll give the rest of my thoughts about Randy Orton after we let you go, Jordan, because I know we've only got a limited amount of time before you get together with your friends. So tell us what's going on the Jordan World Tour. What's next for you?
I was supposed to go to Michigan this Saturday, but things aren't panning out as well. I've got to take care of a few personal issues, so I'm going to be stuck at home in Winnipeg this weekend. But there's definitely a lot of stuff coming up. Newest guest announced on Jordan Garber now on VOCNation.com is the guy you guys seen on Raw last Monday night, James Ellsworth. The legendary, as Chris Jericho would say, James Ellsworth. So I was sure to add that on there. So he'll talk about his Raw debut and everything. And this is honestly my first time encountering the man and talking to him. So it's going to be a learning experience for me as well about what goes on in the Maryland wrestling scene. And then coming up, just to check out the Fake Pit on CWWCanada.ca. Viewer discussion is strongly advised. CW webcast, and of course, AngryMarks.com presents Thursday Night AMP every Thursday, the show I'm on. So check that out at 8 p.m. Central. And, of course, follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber.
Sounds good, Jordan. Thanks for all the updates, and we'll catch you again next week.
Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure, Jordan. Take care.
You too, guys. Take care.
All right. Now, as for the rest of my thoughts about Randy Orton, I know that segment bored Jason to tears. I don't know if Abby cared for it since it caused the overrun or not, but I'll say this much. I thought Orton was getting off a few good lines at Chris Jericho's expense. Like, I didn't wait 9 months to come back and then face Fandango. I had a good chuckle when he said that.
I don't like smiling, happy, joyful Orton.
It is a little weird, but I'm going to give him the fact that he's spent the last 9 months at home with his family when he wasn't doing rehab, and maybe if you get to spend 9 months at home with your wife and kids, maybe you'd be pretty happy too.
And comes back as a part-timer.
I think at this point in his career, that's probably for the best. If he's full-time, he's probably just going to wreck his shoulder completely.
Well, you know, a hefty bag kicked his ass the last time, so.
I suppose so, but the other thing I like,
I just don't see what the appeal or the draw of Randy Orton is when you've got, you know, a guy like John Cena, you've got AJ Styles. I mean, I guess Brock Lesnar is on Raw. I just don't see Orton as a contender, as a draw, as somebody people are going to have interested in 2016 and going forward.
I think his appeal is basically the same appeal that you have for guys like Kane and Cena, who've just been around forever and people know them, and you're going to get a reaction even if they're not full-time just because people know who they are.
Kane and Cena, two guys I want to go away, and that's pretty much my reaction for Orton too. I just want you to go away.
I don't know. I guess I'm the voice of bias here because I have Randy Orton t-shirts and Randy Orton hats, and I am a member of the Vipers Nation. I welcome a trip to Viperville, so I'm not impartial on this subject, but I enjoyed, even though it's a little goofy to see him as a babyface smiling and cheerful, he still had that sinister side to him where he got off little one-liners like, you know, no enhancement required. And people thought he was going off the script, but the writers actually gave that one to him. And I'm glad he told them that I want to say something about Brock Lesnar, give me a line. And that was the perfect one to use.
Well, you know, no enhancement needed. It's not like, that's kind of like pot calling kettle there.
Maybe so, but nobody's going to remember that he's been suspended twice when Lesnar just got flagged by USADA. In the public mind, Lesnar is the cheater right now, not Orton.
Yeah, but the thing is, they said that, and then what does every news site in the world do? Report on it and report on Orton's past, you know, wellness policy violations and suspensions. So,
actually, I think it's even bigger right now that everybody. Yeah. But to me, it's an even bigger issue right now that everybody's reporting that Brock Lesnar won't be suspended by WWE because, as we've all been throwing this term around this show, he's a part-timer, and apparently part-timers aren't part of the wellness plan.
Exactly, they're exempt.
So maybe Orton is exempt in too. Maybe that's why we can let him get away with saying it because he's never going to get flagged again if he's not full-time.
Yeah, Orton's exempt. Probably Cena is exempt. It really surprises me that they're not going to do anything to Lesnar simply because it's been the story that it's been. And it's not going to go away anytime soon because Lesnar's going to appeal it. And then it'll be back in the news again. And whatever the outcome is of the appeals is going to be in the news again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I guess to play devil's advocate, WWE could have tested Lesnar the last time he was in WWE, which would have been what, SummerSlam? He could have tested clean then, and they could not have tested him since then because he hasn't been back. You know, I mean, I can't fault WWE and their wellness policy for this, just given how infrequently Brock is there.
Yeah, but if they tested him at Mania,
if you wanted to spend him because of what USADA, you know, tested him for, but on the flip side of that coin, you know, USADA is a different entity from WWE. And if they want to walk that slippery slope, they can say, yes, you know, that occurred, but it occurred outside of the confines of WWE, and we're not holding him accountable for what he does on his own time outside of our company.
Yeah, but look at it like this. The USADA is a much more legitimate organization than WWE. WWE is suspending guys for taking Adderall and fat burners, but they're not going to suspend a guy for taking something that's on their prohibited list that is used for cycling off steroids, which if he had to use it for cycling off steroids, then that would mean that he would have had to been on steroids, and what the hell does that say? You would think WWE, if they're taking this so seriously and want to look so legit and everything, that, hey, it's come out that Lesnar, we know he was on steroids because he was using this to cycle off of them. You'd think that they would want to at least give the appearance that they were being serious and that this wasn't a joke.
And their own wellness policy doesn't say that you're exempt if you fail a test elsewhere. They're pretty clear that if you get flagged while you're doing anything, if you're out in the public and you get arrested and they find cocaine in your bloodstream, that's just as bad as if you fail one of our drug tests. That's on you.
Yeah, they also have that whole professional clause in there, kind of like a quote-unquote morals clause in other contracts, where you have to, it doesn't matter if you're part-time, full-time, employee, independent contractor, if you're affiliated with WWE, you have to present professional behavior at all times, which is kind of goes back to what you were saying. If you get busted on your off time for a damn DUI or for marijuana possession or cocaine possession or what the hell ever, they can trash your ass.
Right.
They can, although that's a little different, though. I mean, there are criminal charges that come from possession of marijuana and cocaine, where this is just kind of, this was steroids that got flagged by USADA. I mean, we can split hairs on it, but there are some
differences. It's also on WWE's prohibited list.
And I think
everybody published that. We showed published the portion of it where it said that this particular, estrogen blocker is prohibited. Clomipene or whatever it's called. If he tested dirty
for that in the WWE, I would have no problem with them suspending him over it.
And I'm sure
they're not testing him, period. And that's the problem.
I believe, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong about this, that there are plenty of steroids that are also illegal to possess and use, just like coke and marijuana and anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like he got pulled over by the cops and was caught using steroids. It came up in a test for a fight.
Right. No, it's not
like... No, he just got busted for that,
it's not like
several years
driving
ago.
down the road with the joint.
True. And it's not like he had a box of steroid needles in the passenger seat of a car, but all I'm saying is it doesn't make it less illegal just because it's not a narcotic. That to me doesn't wash. Right. And if he fails a test outside of WWE, that doesn't mean he's exempt either. Not in my opinion, but I'm not the one making up these rules on the fly. I mean, they basically sang 2 or 3 different tunes on this one, and each time the wind changed, they started whistling a new song. Like, first they said, okay, we're aware that this happened. We've been advised that Lesnar failed the test, and we're going to wait to see what the outcome is. Then their next tune was, well, let's see if this really affects us because he hasn't been around for a few months and he's not really active with us right now anyway. Now the third song they're singing is, well, he's not really applicable to the policy anyway because he's a part-timer. So can they just make up their damn minds what song they want to sing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole hypocrisy and, basically double standards.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a performer with the company, you should be tested. I don't care if you're a part-timer, if you're a one-offer. If you come in like you're a damn jobber, you take a piss test before you get in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a part-timer, you get tested however many times a year. I don't care if it's once or twice. You still get tested. If you're a full-timer, they test them 4 times a year randomly, then get tested 4 times a year randomly.
Mm-hmm. Or if you really want some legitimacy, which I think we've kind of agreed WWE doesn't have at this point, but if you did want to be seen as taking your own policy about wellness and performer health and not abusing prescriptions or steroids or anything else, you would have USADA come in and run your testing for you, because that is essentially what UFC said. They said, look, we can't keep this sport clean ourselves. We need outside help. These people do it for Olympics. They do it on a professional level. They have the most stringent testing available. They show up at random any hour of the day, unadvertised, to make you piss in a cup. We need these people. If WWE wanted to take it seriously, they should give USADA a call.
Yeah, but basically WWE is saying that they are entertainment. They are not a regulated, athletic competition.
Then why have a policy at all? Why not just let anybody take whatever they want whenever they want?
public relations, investors, people dropping dead.
Yeah.
Because every time a wrestler drops dead, it's gone back to WWE. All these lawsuits right now, WWE.
Right. But I'm just saying, when Brock Lesnar has a heart attack at 45, are they going to be responsible? Are they going to be held accountable? Or are they just going to say, oh, he was part-time, it wasn't our fault?
Well, they're going to look dumb as fucking shit is what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. And everybody
to not even have the appearance of even testing him.
No. And Brock Lesnar's whole I'm just a jacked up white boy, deal with it thing doesn't pass the smell test anymore either.
No, it doesn't. He's a grown-ass man with a family, with kids. He's in a business where the death rate from steroids, which this all goes back to and cycles back to steroids, is horrible. I mean, one generation removed from, you look back at some of the WrestleMania rosters, over half the damn card is dead.
Mm-hmm.
From drugs, from steroids, from enlarged hearts, from, all of this stuff. Anybody that has a fucking brain, you don't do this shit.
No, but the apologists out there, and I'm not in agreement with them, I'm just stating what they state for the record. The apologists out there will say, it's a cosmetic business, you have to look a certain way to be on television, so some exceptions should be made because we're out there to look a certain way to entertain you.
Yeah, and so that brings up another point I was going to bring up tonight on the show. You look a certain way. Well, there were some independent wrestlers, jobbers, whatever the hell you want to call them, that got called out on Twitter today about Zack Sabre Jr. and how he looks. Mm-hmm. Basically saying, oh, so you don't have to lift weights to be in WWE and, you don't have to be in shape or anything. And I watched his match from the Cruiserweight Classic last night, and I'm like, anybody that is questioning him or trash talking him and his work, his matches, or anything, go have your fucking head examined and then reevaluate your life choices. Okay? Because it's professional wrestling. And see, everybody outside of WWE, they kind of get that and know that you don't have to look like Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior or Lex Luger. And hell, just look at those guys today. Where are they? You do not have to look like that or be that to be a successful professional wrestler. Mm-hmm. Those days are gone. Ric Flair today on his podcast talking about a cruiserweight will never main event WrestleMania. Well, I hate to tell you, cruiserweights already have.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan most certainly did.
Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio Jr., Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. Without the inflated truth, Shawn Michaels. And last time I checked, Ric Flair was not all that big.
No, Ric Flair is not 260 pounds.
He's not 245 pounds, or 235, which he was billed at forever and a day. He's barely over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, if he's 200, I'm shocked.
So don't be saying shit like that. He would have preferred Roman Reigns go over because he's got the look. Well, guess what, you dumb son of a bitch? The look is not what people are looking at anymore. Listen to the crowds. It's not about the look. It's about what you can do in the ring.
I believe I said this to Jason last week, but you weren't here, and I'm going to share this thought with you right now, Abby. One of the things that I appreciated about the opening round of the G1 Climax is there are a couple of wrestlers in New Japan who are just ugly as sin and proud of it. Like, Tomohiro Ishii is not a beautiful man to look at.
Hey, don't you dare badmouth anything about Ishii.
This is
Ishii is adorable. Ishii is perfect. Yano is perfect. Don't even start that.
Let me finish, because it is a compliment. I think it's great that he doesn't look like a jacked up, chiseled wrestler, because you need a guy that looks the way Ishii or Yano or anybody else looks, that doesn't just go out there as a hulking, muscle-bound menace, that just goes out there and represents a slice of life like, hey, this is possible in a real fight. You would see a big ugly guy at the bar beat up a good looking guy. This happens in real life. And that's, New Japan is more believable because they're not all Greek gods.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at guys like Tenzan, who ain't pretty, and you look at guys like Makabe, who really ain't pretty.
Well, Tenzan's fault is his own, just for his flip
mullet. It's that hair, Yeah, but Makabe's really ain't pretty. He ain't pretty at all. Ishii is adorable. I'm sorry. He's this little demonic teddy bear. Yano is just perfection. But it's the matter of, and some of these littler, smaller guys in wrestling can kick the big guys' asses. We've seen it coming from backstage fights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sin Cara beat the shit out of Simon Gotch.
Well, neither of them are huge.
No,
I think he just aimed a soda can at his head pretty good.
Well, we're getting two different versions of the story. One was that he beamed him with a soda can, and the other is that he decked him with a right.
Who the hell knows? The thing is that you do not have to be, you don't have to be Roman Reigns to be successful. And all you have to do is look at the business today. Look at the WWE and look at the guys that are appreciated and respected and getting the most cheers from the fans.
And that was exactly what Stevie was saying last week about the G1 Climax.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some pretty guys in G1, but you look at Japan, it's not all about the body.
Mm-hmm.
It's
about the body of work.
Yes, it's about the body of work and what you can do in the ring. It's not about the quality of your looks or the quantity of your muscles. It's about the quality of your ring work.
On that note, I think we should go ahead and talk about the G1 Climax, because there have been a lot of shows between last week and this week, but I believe Jason has picked out some specific matches that he would like to highlight.
Yeah, there were some from the 22nd, I believe, and the 27th that I had wanted to talk about. Should I run down the blocks first, give the standings and whatnot? And
Yes, absolutely. Let's do that to start out.
Let's start with that. Yeah, there have been 4 matches in Block A, 3 matches in Block B. Sitting all alone atop Block A is the guy who fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down, Togi Makabe.
In the whole fucking forest.
Oh my! Yeah, he is not a pretty man, but he's
like a
leads
gorilla.
Block A with 8 points.
With bleached
King Kong
hair.
there. Bleached Brillo pad hair.
That's bad.
Yeah, he is undefeated thus far. He has won all 4 of his matches. He has 8 points, and he stands proud and stands tall above everyone else in Block A. One loss below him at 6 points. We have Kazuchika Okada. Then we have a bunch of guys all with 4 points in Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, Naomichi, Merafuji, Hiroshi Tenzan, and Sonata. They all have 4 points. And then rounding out the bottom, there's some guys with 2 points. Bad Luck Fale, he's got 1 win. Tamatanga, he's got 1 win. And John Hashi, Hiroshi Tanasina, he's got 2 points as well. Block B has only had 3 matches. We do have someone undefeated in Block B. That would be the Ageless Wonder, Blue Justice, Yuji Nagata.
Yay!
He is undefeated in Block B. And they are, not tomorrow, but the day after, they are on Saturday morning having their 4th matches. So we'll see how they stack up. We'll see if Nagata can remain undefeated. Another handful of guys with 4 points with 1 loss in that B block are Katsuhiko Nakajima, Tetsuya Naito, Kenny Omega, Tomoyaki Hanma. They all have 4 points. 2-pointers, we have Shibata, Evil, Yoshihashi, and Michael Elgin. And I'm sorry to say this, Abby, but rounding out the bottom with a big fat goose egg in Block B, Toru Yano.
Oh, well.
But he's had the best match of the tournament so far.
That's the one that I had wanted to mention. The match I had wanted to mention was the Naito versus Yano match.
That was the greatest match of the century. There were like 2 moves, and
what was great about this, they both went to take off the turnbuckle padding at the same time, but Yano has had a lot more practice at that than Naito did, and boy did it show.
Yano holds the land speed record for turnbuckle removal. You're not going to beat him.
He just got that thing off, charged Yano, and smacked him with it before Yano could get his turnbuckle padding off.
There were literally like 2 wrestling moves the whole match, like a very, very sad-looking Destino to end the match, and something else, but it was just flawless. It was so great.
It was comedy gold, and I wish they would have let them work longer, because I know Naito can work that comedic style, and it would have been fun to see them play off each other, but they kept it rather short.
I know.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the matches I wanted to talk about. I think that was from the 27th. If you want to watch that, yeah, that was G1 Climax, the 27th. That was the second to last match, though. The one that really caught my eye happened early in the tournament on the 22nd, and to me this is kind of like the dark horse match of the tournament so far, when we had Yoshihashi taking on Kenny Omega. And this is one of those matches where they have no business putting on a match as good as they did, but it's like each one elevated each other. I've been really impressed with Kenny Omega, no matter who he's working against in these matches. He looks really good. But, oh my God, Yoshihashi can do the same thing. He can elevate his game, and they both brought it. And Yoshihashi ended up getting the win over Kenny Omega on the 22nd. And it was an unbelievable match. I didn't expect a match so good from these two, but boy, did they deliver.
Yoshihashi and Nagata from yesterday was really, really good, too. I was really surprised that it was as good as it was. B Block, to me, has just been so much better than A Block. And normally that's not the case. Normally A Block, it doesn't matter what it is, blows B Block out of the water. This year, not so much. There's only been two good things in A Block for me. And that's been Marufuji and Ishii in their respective matches.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that match today. You want to talk about that?
I loved that match. Marufuji liked it. I loved that match.
With the invisible cheese grater that he beat Ishii with.
Oh, God. He just ripped open Tenzan, and then he did the same thing to Ishii this morning. It was like, oh. Yeah, his chops hurt me here.
It was bad. It's like, at first it started looking like Ishii had a big old Indian burn on his chest. And then it started looking like Ishii's chest was a raw purple steak. It really looked like there was some invisible cheese grater that...
And then there were busted little capillaries, and yeah, it was bad.
Oh, it was not pretty. You talk about, oh, yeah.
It was such a good match.
It looked like my belly, the one and only time I ever took a knife edge chop from a wrestler.
I thought you were going to say the one time you did a belly flop into a swimming pool.
I was thinking the same thing.
No, I had a handprint on my chest for like 4 days, and it hurt.
Marufuji's just been great. And I really liked his work in Noah, but sometimes it's like you can tell he's just kind of going through the motions. He hasn't been doing that during G1.
Yeah, he's kind of like Tenzan in that aspect where, like, with the bigger matches, he'll really bring it, but if he's not feeling it, he'll just phone it in.
Yeah, him and I think it was yesterday morning. Was Nakajima and Evil yesterday morning?
Yesterday was Nakajima and Evil, yes.
Yeah, that was just pathetic for the most part, because that was basically Nakajima just getting killed. And then he comes back with those kicks. It's like, holy shit, those hurt too.
Yeah, he gave some good kicks. He hit a penalty style PK kick, like a Shibata kick, and then won it with a high angle brain buster. But yeah, for the most part, it was just him getting whooped up on.
Yeah, speaking of Shibata, he is legit injured. He has messed up his rotator cuff, which explains the tape, and there's something wrong with his knee. Ooh. That came out today with Tokyo Sports.
We're at that point of the G1 tournament where like half the roster has their arms taped up.
Yeah, but it actually came out today that he is legit hurt. Let me go back and find it. But yeah, it's rotator cuff damage and something wrong with his knee. But yeah, it was sad.
He's got multiple things going on then.
Yeah, and it's bad because, it's like, here's this guy that's doing all this and getting hurt, but yet he's going to go in and wrestle Naito on Saturday. He's been diagnosed with a right shoulder acromyoclavicular joint something and rotator cuff damage. On top of that, he has several injuries stemming from his never title matches earlier this year.
That's a mouthful there.
It's his right shoulder and his left knee.
Oh.
Supposedly he messed up his shoulder during his match with Hanma. Nothing good comes from Hanma. Nothing.
No, I mean, that was another thing. That's one of those things where I was saying, just Hanma.
That was an ugly match with Omega yesterday.
Yeah.
It's real botchy.
It's like Omega can make almost anyone look good, but
Omega can make Brewmega look good. He couldn't make Hamna look good. I mean, there were just some spots. It was like, I don't know if Hamna was so greasy he was slipping off of Kenny or what, but yeah, it wasn't pretty, and you could tell a couple of times that Omega got frustrated.
Unintentionally, you just reminded me of a Japanese fighter called Sexyama, who they used to accuse of the same thing. People would say, he's greasy, that's why you can't take him down with a wrestling move, because his legs are greasy.
I mean, he looks like he dumps a vat of baby oil on him before he comes out there.
That's what they said about Sexyama. That was the exact same thing. They
What was it
accused him
last
of
year?
cheating.
Last year, I think it was in a match with Nakamura where, Nakamura did his little head thing on his chest and kept sliding off. Basically took his hands and wiped him on the referee because he was so greasy.
Wow.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed B-Block.
There's some matches that are coming up on Saturday. The last three matches on the card Saturday just look amazing. We have the last three matches that are taking place. We have Yuji Nagata taking on Nakajima, and just the kick versus kick aspect of that. I'm really looking forward to seeing who can kick the other's head off first, because Yuji Nagata can still throw some really sick looking kicks. So we got that one. And then your semi-main event is Michael Elgin versus Kenny Omega, kind of a rematch in the feud going on there over the IWGP Intercontinental title. I mean, they brought the house down with that ladder match. It'll be interesting to see what they do in their G1 match. And then kind of intriguing, although he is injured, this is a matchup that I had been wanting to see. Katsuyori Shibata taking on Tetsuya Naito.
Well, hell, Shibata don't care that he's hurt. He doesn't care that he's hurt. It'll just be because you could tell this morning in that tag match that he wasn't quite at 100%, not really quite at 80%. He kept, shaking the knee and shaking the shoulder, and
makes me wonder
they're
if they're
going to kill each other.
His slower Tranquillo style to kind of not highlight Shibata's injury so much.
Oh, probably not, because Naito's knee is messed up
very
too.
Slow and very fast. So they'll both be going slow then.
Probably not. Naito's knee is messed up too. So,
is there anybody that ever works the New Japan G1 Climax that isn't some degree messed up by the time it's all over?
I would say Yano, but last year he, had that unfortunate meeting with Tenzon's skull.
Right.
Bad Luck Fale. I don't think I've ever seen him come out taped up.
I don't either.
It just seems like a war of attrition at times during G1 season. It's just who can come out of it the least banged up is your guy that's going forward in the future.
Yeah, when you're wrestling 5 days a week, every other day you've got like a mainstream main event singles match, and every other day that you're off you have, a 6-man or 8-man or a tag team match. So yeah, like for a straight month, about 5 days a week, you're go time all the time.
And New Japan is one of the harder hitting wrestling styles in the world. On top of that, it's not like these guys are going out there and playing pity pat with each other. They are hitting each other real tough. If
you want some evidence of that, watch the Ishii versus Marufuji match from earlier today.
Yes.
Who does Yano have Saturday? Evil? No, not Evil. Sonata?
Yano taking on Hanma.
Oh, God.
Oh,
no. No. Damn it, that just totally ruins the Yano match for me.
It does, although I really wish that Yano would do something kind of playing up that he knows that Hanma's going to miss those first 2 or 3 Kokeshis. Just going, oh, I'm on to you, you're doing the Kokeshi, I'm moving out of the way, ha ha ha.
Yano better win this match.
Yeah, Hanma's got more wins than he's had in the last 2 years combined in the G1 Climax.
Last year we waited around and, this was before all the shit with Hanma came out, and we were all wanting to see the match he would win. He's got to win one, and we were all so happy when he won that one match. And this year, don't care.
Yeah, well, once they popped that cherry, Han Mania couldn't run wild anymore. It was the fact that he'd never done it, and now that he's done it, it's no longer, you can't put the genie back in the bottle now.
No, I don't care because he, smacks women around. You just can't look at somebody the same after that.
He's just a one-dimensional wrestler, too. It's like he's got a headbutt attack, and that's about all he has.
Yeah, and that just gets, it's so painful to watch. The first couple of times you see it, it's like, damn, and then it's like, damn, just stop it.
Right.
It's like people talk about wrestlers who have 5 moves of doom, and Hanma has 1 move of doom, the headbutt, and that's it.
And Abby wasn't here last week when I said this, so I'll bring it up again now. The thing that disturbs me the most in a Hanma match is when he does it to the outside to the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, that was a sick spot, especially when he misses it.
Yeah, that's never. I don't care if he hits it or misses it or hits it. It's still not good.
No, not for his health, not for
That-
anybody that it sees it. It's no fun to watch him do that.
No, that's like there was. I think it was in Omega's match where Omega moved out of the way, and that was the picture that New Japan put up. It's like the split second before Hamna crashed, his head crashed into the ground. You know, you see him just
the one thing I'm
parallel
liking
to the floor.
One thing I'm liking that Omega's doing now, a move I like to call the catch-up packet, is where Omega takes a wrestler, wraps him up in the ring mats on the outside, gets into the ring, and then slingshots over the ropes and stomps on them while they're all wrapped up in the ring mats outside the ring. It's a thing of
That
beauty.
works.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
Like stomping on a ketchup packet.
What do I?
Does someone have something
What
we
was
need
that
to
all?
know about?
Yeah, I'm hearing voices in my head, and it's not Orton's theme music.
Drama with Killer Kev, I suppose.
Drama with Killer Kev, what?
We kept hearing voices, and we're wondering if there was something somebody had that we needed to know about.
I don't think so.
Where the hell was that coming from? Because we all heard it.
Maybe we're picking up the ghosts of Blog Talk Radio since they got knocked off the air tonight.
Blog Talk Radio.
Transitioning over to the Angry Marks airwaves. I don't know.
Are they still down right now, Kevin? You were the one who broke this news to me on Facebook chat.
I have no idea. I'm just seeing reactions from a couple of friends who I didn't even know had shows on Blog Talk, but they're all ticked off because they couldn't get on.
Well, let me try it right now. Let me see what happens. Oh, yeah, we'll be back soon. Sorry for the inconvenience, but we're performing maintenance at the moment.
You
That's
know,
their homepage.
what if they're lying and they're really like dead in the water forever? We may have
never
opportunity
know.
here.
Yeah, well, start lining people up. Tell them, hey, we got a platform for you. Come on over.
There you go. Killer Kev could suddenly
But then-
become very busy and very wealthy.
Yes, but we might have to use something other than Ustream because they're not always reliable either.
No, they're not.
Didn't Raw Reaction get knocked off the air like this week or last week because of Ustream?
A couple weeks ago they did, yeah.
That's what I thought. But hey, it's an interesting time in G1 with everything that's going on. Kevin, you've been keeping up with it?
I have not had time to keep up with it, unfortunately. I'm like weeks back. I mean, heck, I'm just now getting all caught up on the Cruiserweight Classic for Pete's sakes.
Well, since you mentioned it, why don't we go ahead and talk about that? Jason, I know you watched the latest show.
I actually didn't see the latest show. I was
Oh,
out last
snap.
night. And I have not seen it, so you guys can talk about it if you'd like.
Well, I've seen all 3 shows now, so.
All right, well, Kev, stick around then. You can fill in for Jason's slot in the chair. What did you think of the show on Wednesday night?
I thought every show so far has been really good.
No favorite matches from last night, though? Nothing in particular you want to highlight?
Was Zack Sabre Jr. this week?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
That was damn impressive. Not only is his wrestling ability, I think, above and beyond almost anybody that I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years, his character is likable and almost instantly pissed me off at the same time. I mean, this guy is on fire. He will fill a niche for whatever you need. If you like catch can wrestling, he's got it. If you like strong style submission, he's got it. If you like fast paced cruiserweight matches, he's got it. If you like the good guy that you just absolutely have to cheer, you got it. If you're tired of smug ass baby faces and want to watch them get their asses creamed like every 10 seconds, he's got it. I don't understand why WWE hasn't signed him already.
I believe there's an offer out there in the wind for him to come in after this is over. There's
He hasn't wanted to sign.
Yeah, but there's 5 guys that are all reportedly offered deals by WWE, and several of them are disputing whether or not they've taken it or even want to take it. But I believe I saw Zack Sabre Jr. on that list. But can I just go ahead and point out, as long as we're talking about that match, that it's strange for me because I've known textbook Tyson Dukes for 8-9 years now. I remember seeing him at an IWA Mid-South show in Illinois, 2006. I never thought I would see him in the Cruiserweight Classic. Not that he isn't talented, not that he hasn't always been that talented, but I just never thought of him as a WWE guy. I thought he'd be an indie guy for life.
Well, did he sign?
What, Kevin?
Did he sign?
I don't know that he did, but even to be in the Cruiserweight Classic on a WWE program just is stunning to me, just in general.
It's just been so good and so different and so not what WWE is known for.
Well,
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Drew Gulak and Harv Sierra?
Drew Gulak is now one of my new favorites.
Indeed. He was strong on this show. I definitely liked him.
He's another one of those guys that I guess I wouldn't say I never saw him being on a WWE show. I would more say that I guess I take the same route with him that I took back in the day with Jon Moxley. Like, okay, this guy's talented, but based on where he's working, is he going to go anywhere else? I never thought he would move on from CZW to being featured on a WWE show, but look how far Jon Moxley has come, so I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of these guys, you know, I never would have thought I'd seen them on a stage like this, and they're on a stage like this now, and I think they're all looking damn fabulous. It is so refreshing to see the contrast in style that you're seeing from the Cruiserweight Classic compared to even NXT. I mean, I watched 3 straight episodes of the Cruiserweight Classic, and then culminating with the other night's episode. Then I watched this week's episode of NXT, and even with all the talent that NXT has, I almost kind of sat there and thought, wow, NXT feels like a downgrade now.
I mean, you can't really say that since Nakamura and Ibushi were on. Not that Ibushi gave the best performance this week on NXT, but he was there, which was very, very surreal.
Right. Now,
And as much as I like some of these guys in the Cruiserweight Classic, and I really do, the thing is I've liked them in other venues than WWE, part of me is scared half to death that they'll be signed and what makes them so special will suddenly go away.
Well, speaking of seeing them in other venues, the next match on the show, I thought I was watching TNA Explosion, Anthony Bennett and Tony Nese. And I mean, again, this is going to sound like a negative when I say that, but I mean that as a positive because Explosion was usually the smaller guys, the X Division guys, the guys that could go out there and put on a great match that weren't going to be featured during a regular episode of Impact. So to me, it was a good thing. I'm like, wow, I'm watching a TNA match right here.
Yeah, it was a real good match, although I must admit, Bennett didn't look as spectacular to me this week as I've seen him in the past. I mean, he was good, but Nese just completely outshined him on this. Nese just looks so strong. I mean, he is a physically imposing man.
So, yeah, this guy looks like he might have a problem passing a WWE wellness test. He's quite shredded.
Indeed. Looks like he's been hanging out and getting tips from Chris Masters or something. I don't know.
I mean, the guy doesn't have a 6-pack. He has like an 8 or a 10-pack. It's insane.
Yeah, his 6-packs have 6-packs, and his 6-packs are working on 6-packs themselves.
All right, Abby, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, it was kind of, it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of middle of the road for me. Of course, after seeing Zack Sabre, anything is going to be a downgrade from that.
Well, yeah, I kind of think they opened with the match that stole the show, really. It's hard to top that. But, you know what? Even so, I think we got a pretty damn good match out of Brian Kendrick and Raul Mendoza.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed that. Kendrick looked, speaking of knife-edge chops and cheese graters, Kendrick looked like he got shredded.
Yeah. It definitely not the same guy we saw back when he was Spanky Dog.
Nope, it definitely a little bit more of his TNA character and his post WWE career. But Kendrick still looks sharp as a tack. But I gotta tell you, Raul Mendoza, that man can take a beating, and he did take a beating.
Yeah, and not only did he take a beating, he was bleeding.
Yeah, he got his mouth busted good, but that didn't stop him. He was still,
you don't get
he's
in
still
the ring
trying
with braces. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
one of those
put a
things.
mouth
It's not
guard
like
in or
having
something.
a limb taped up. You know somebody's gonna go for that.
Yeah, and they didn't shy away from abusing the mouth either. I mean, Kendrick put his jaws over the ropes and then kicked the ropes.
I know.
I mean, damn, I would never want to do that to a wrestler. So I mean, Mendoza has balls for just doing that spot because that legit bust your teeth.
All that orthodontic work goes down the drain.
Yeah, no shit. But so I hope they paid him well for that. But Mendoza tried to give out as good a beating as he gave. Spots on the outside were just sick. Definitely a good match, and I think definitely a great pick for the main event.
Now, was Daniel Bryan a little too biased in Brian Kendrick's favor in this one? Did you guys pick up on that?
Well, yeah,
I hate to say this, but Brian's starting to get on my nerves.
Really? Not just this match. You mean the whole show in general?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm starting to think him and Ronaldo might have been too much of a good thing.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I guess I was more specifically focused on him being a homer for Kendrick here. But go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, he definitely was a homer for Kendrick, and he didn't hide that at all. He absolutely said it. Hell yes, I am pulling for Kendrick here. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but two things that do bother me a little bit about Daniel Bryan at this point is I think with this show more than the first two shows, I think he's starting to mark out a little too much. I don't mind legitimate mark out moments, but doing it for a whole show kind of takes away from the professionalism just a little bit. And, I think Morrow was having a little bit of a time trying to pull him back down and pull him back in, to keep the commentary a little bit more even keeled here. And, the other thing is I had it and I lost it. Maybe it was just the mark out moment all night.
Like I said, there is, I love Brian, don't get me wrong, but there is kind of too much of a good thing.
Oh,
it gets over the top at times.
I remember the other thing that I noticed about it I think he needs to get together with the production team and the wrestlers and figure out the best way he needs to commentate for whatever they're going to pace for the show. Because one thing I noticed all night long was that Daniel Bryan wanted to stop and explain things for 30 or 60 seconds, but the pacing of the show was so fast, just everything going on just completely kept cutting him off, and it made it difficult to keep pace between what Bryan wanted to do and the story we needed to tell that was ongoing right this second. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I was just waiting for Abby to respond.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and like I said, he's just getting to, I had to turn the volume down today when I was watching it because I didn't watch it last night. I had to turn the volume down some, which, I'm used to doing that with Raw and SmackDown. I didn't ever think I would do it with, Ronaldo and Bryan on commentary.
He was a little bit of a hyper puppy.
Just a little bit. Gets to be a little bit of annoying, a little bit obnoxious, kind of like fingernails on a chalkboard. You just got to mute it for a little bit.
I guess I haven't reached that point with it yet, but maybe in another week or two I'll be in the same boat as you guys.
Now, next week's episode, I am really looking forward to the main event pairing that they've got set up here.
Well, don't be shy. Tell us all about it, Kevin. What is it? Tell everybody listening.
Did we lose Kevin?
Now he gets shy. Okay, I'll tell them about it then.
Go right ahead, Jason.
We have Johnny Gargano taking on Tommaso Ciampa. And this one I am looking forward to.
This.
Friends collide. Good friends, bitter rivals.
This is one that I'm not going to sleep on. This is what I'm definitely looking forward to, and then I'll be glued to my TV on Wednesday night.
I just hate that they put this in the first round and one of these guys has to lose and be gone.
Well, they're not really going to be gone. They're going to be gone from the tournament.
You know what I mean, in the tournament,
Yes.
Because there are other guys, I think, that they could have put in these matches that would have been a better fit to be booted.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. I had a cat emergency.
Oh, no problem.
A cat emergency?
Yes, when the
Nothing
cat
good comes from cats either.
When the cat starts jumping all over your broadcasting equipment because it's crying for its fifth dinner of the hour.
See, get a dog; they'll just sleep through stuff.
Stevie J definitely understands that. I know.
Yeah, I know about cats and their fifth meal. I know all too well. When our cat gets cranky at 3 a.m. because he's hungry, shit hits the floor and we all get up and yell at him.
Yeah, there you go. But, I'm looking forward to this because Johnny Gargano, one of Stevie J's favorite wrestlers.
I'm proud owner of a Johnny Gargano shirt that I bought from him at a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla show.
Going up against Tommaso Ciampa, one of my favorite wrestlers. They're former...
And, multiple-time guest of our show, I should add.
Yes, indeed. And, former tag team partners together. Gargano, it looks like he is heading for a WWE career, I think.
It's been widely reported.
Yeah, I mean, he's no longer even involved with Evolve, so, good for him. Tommaso Ciampa, they finally signed him, to some more solid deals, and he's definitely earned that, so I'm looking forward to seeing just how far these two push each other in this match, and who's going to get the upper hand and go forward in this tournament.
Now, next week is our final round of the first round, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. So, something to look forward to next week on the Cruiserweight Classic. But, what about NXT? Who saw that this week?
Yeah, I saw that too.
I did.
All right. Abby, why don't we start with you? What were your thoughts on this week's show?
Well, it had Shinsuke on it, so, that makes me happy.
But
Kota Ibushi was on it.
Would you have preferred a different opponent than Wesley Blake?
Well, there's only so much that they've got to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my problems with NXT. I mean, it's only an hour a week. They take so far in advance, but it seems like they're using the same guys over and over. So there's only so much to work with there.
True. But you did mention Kota Ibushi. Sorry if I steamrolled you on that. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I love Ibushi. I do. This wasn't his best showing. He's had better matches with Yoshihiko.
He's had better matches with a blow-up doll.
Yeah, Yoshihiko. He's had better matches with him. But it was good for what it was. It was nice to see Ibushi out there.
Yes, I agree.
The women's division, I'm not real sure where they're headed with that. I don't see Bayley being there much longer. I know that they said Battleground was a one-off for her, but I have a feeling she'll be called up after SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think they were just holding off until Charlotte and Sasha finish whatever they're doing.
Yeah, now it's kind of like, what do they do next? Part of me hates seeing Nakamura still in NXT. Part of me likes seeing him still there. I don't know. I mean, I like NXT, but I hate the Full Sail crowd. So, I kind of have this weird love-hate relationship with NXT at this moment. At this moment.
I understand that. I'm actually looking at post-draft, the state of NXT, and I'm sort of feeling like it makes more sense now than it did at the time, because during the draft, we were all saying the same things, like, why didn't they call up Nakamura? Why didn't they call up Joe? So on and so forth. And now I'm like, well, thank God they didn't, because you need Nakamura and Joe to hold that brand together.
Yeah, and it's kind of like part of me wants to see, these guys that have so much hype and that are there, but then part of me wants to see these veterans that they're signing, use those guys to build and nurture your homegrown talent and develop them and then send them up to the main roster. There's part of me that doesn't like to see these guys like Nakamura, who should be on the main roster, who shouldn't be in quote unquote developmental.
Uh-huh.
He should be on the main roster. He should have been like AJ and bypassed NXT. And these guys like Rude and Joe and Aries, have them down there to build up your homegrown talent, because WWE still is not building up any really legitimate, viable homegrown talent that they're doing anything with aside from Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, it does seem like the best talent that ends up in NXT are superstars from other promotions that have built up their reputation over the years, and just now finally have decided, I'd rather be part of NXT than be on this brand wherever else I am, because even if I take a smaller paycheck for a while, it's a gateway to a bigger world.
Yeah. I don't really see a spot on the main roster for guys like, and this probably get me some not so nice talk, but I don't see a real spot for Aries. I don't see a real spot for Joe. I don't see a real spot for Bobby Roode. Eric Young, if he gets signed. I'm surprised they brought up stupid ass Rhino to SmackDown, which is another damn problem I've got with SmackDown.
Although, you know what? That one kind of makes sense because he'd done about as much to build guys up in NXT as he could. So it was either release him or use him somewhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, get these veterans that you're bringing in and have them work with and be that pedestal for the homegrown talent that WWE still can't build.
Fair enough.
You know, they've done all this with the Performance Center, but they're not putting out homegrown talent.
I'm not going to argue with you. Jason, Kev, any additional notes to add on NXT?
Nope, I think that's a good summary for me.
I enjoyed the segment with Rhino and Heath Slater. It's like I wanted to see Heath Slater get murdered, and that was one of the few things that I actually enjoyed about SmackDown. The rest of SmackDown was kind of like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But that was like, yeah, it's like I kind of like how Shane was looking and said, yeah, I am looking at the hottest free agent right now, and Slater thought he was talking about him, but no, Rhino was standing behind him unbeknownst to him. And then gore!
So can we just have him do that on SmackDown every week now? Like next week, Shelton Benjamin returns and Shelton just totally takes his head off.
Oh, a different guy takes out Heath Slater every week. That I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
And
for like
I
2
do have
months
to say,
straight, every
did
week
like,
they bring a guy back. Go ahead.
I was going to say that the JBL has been quite tempered now that he's not on there with Michael Cole anymore. I actually watched the broadcast in English and I made it all the way through. The announcers were fine. The content just sucked.
Well, JBL can't dominate the discussion the way he does with Byron Saxton. He can't quite get away with that where he is now.
I still hate JBL.
Yeah,
Somebody needs to ball gag his ass.
Oh, wow.
Sounds
I
like
don't
a
care.
personal
I can't.
fantasy.
No. Yeah, but just gag him and shove him under the announce table and be done with it because he's the most obnoxious son of a bitch in the world.
And by that same token, by the opposite token on Raw, I was watching highlights of that on YouTube today, and just hearing Michael Cole, even with new announcers, he's still Michael Cole and he still sucks, and that makes me not want to watch Raw either.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to see Corey Graves and Mauro Ranallo. I think that would have been great for SmackDown. But hey, Vince has to have a fucking mouthpiece on each damn show.
Screaming into their headset. But yeah, thank Jesus there is a Spanish broadcast that I can watch, listen to, whatever. Should I choose to watch WWE again instead of just watching CMLL and being done with it?
All right, well, from that, let's move on to Battleground, because I don't think we've given our full opinions on that show yet. We've been talking about New Japan, Raw, SmackDown, Cruiserweight Classic, NXT, but we haven't really gotten into the specifics of Battleground, other than we went a little bit in depth on Randy Orton returning for the segment with Jericho, but the show as a whole, let's talk about it. Let's start with Abby. What was your favorite match on this show?
I have trouble even remembering the matches right now. Actually, I think the best part of the show to me was the first moments of it when Bayley came out. Okay. You know, that pop, that reaction from the crowd, it was like, this is what you're looking for.
And all the hug life signs and everybody that knew that she was going to be there. It was a surprise. It wasn't a surprise, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, she's so marketable, and there's so much that can be done with her. And I think just, you know, I think there are people that are just wasting away in NXT, and she's one of them. And I think Battleground proved that.
I'll agree. Jason?
My favorite match was the match that went the longest on the card, just by a little bit, but that would be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, with Zayn finally picking up a victory.
That's true, and seems to be a consensus pick among a lot of the opinion I've seen. And I went into it basically with the mindset that it doesn't matter if Zayn gets a win, as we talked about on last week's show. It's just, as long as he goes out there and does a little better each time and gets a little more of the momentum behind him, he can keep fighting this fight forever. But I'm not upset that he got the win. There's so much history between them that even now that he has the win, I'm not 100% convinced it's over. I still think they can keep fighting forever, even now that he's got that big win.
It will never be
over. I mean, that could just up the ante. That could just be, you know, the thorn that's in Kevin Owens' side that Zayn got that win, and that just gives him the excuse to, you know, just attack Sami Zayn out of the blue if Zayn's wrestling somebody else and just rekindle that feud all over again.
I agree.
Sammy's facial
But these two
expressions
never
and all
fail
in that
to
match were
entertain.
so great.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And here I am over here just wishing, God, just let this die already. Let it die. Enough.
Why are you wanting it to die? It's one of the few things that is really, really good.
And it's gone on for far too long in far too many promotions. It is so overplayed.
It's like Triple H and Shawn Michaels. They're going to fight forever.
And that got
Maybe
old
they do
too.
need to have a nice little gap between this and their next fight, but
I mean, we're talking about this fresh new WWE with these fresh new rosters and wanting to do all this stuff new, and we keep bringing up this feud that was old last year and is more than a few years old now. It's just old. It's not fresh. It doesn't. I mean, it's entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't get any better than what it does. It is plateaued, and it stayed plateaued, and it's plateaued for so long that it's only going to start falling off a cliff. It's going to be worse than Undertaker matches.
it would be different if it was bad, though. The thing is, even if it's plateaued, it's still better than 90% of what else WWE is doing on the main roster.
And it's also fresher than a lot of what WWE is doing. I mean, WWE recycles a lot of stuff, and they recycle a lot of stuff that is a lot less entertaining than what we've seen historically between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Kevin Steen and El Generico.
Well, I mean,
to me, that's sorry, Kevin. The reason that it continues to work for me, even though it's been done forever and maybe it's plateaued, is because there is so much genuine real life history between the two of them as both friends and rivals that if you follow wrestling all the way back to their independent days, it feels realer than most fights that go on in WWE. It feels realer than a lot of fights in UFC. These guys you really believe are trying to kill each other.
I agree. And this is because this goes back to one of the oldest axioms in professional wrestling, which is personal conflicts put asses in seats. These guys were able to tap into a personal conflict, although I'm sure it's quite imagined between the two of them, but they've found a way to create this very personalized story and are able to deliver it with so much passion. And that's great. And because we like it so much and we can keep identifying with it, I think it highlights just a lot of the weaknesses in WWE writing overall. But we keep doing this, and it's going to lose its specialness, in my opinion, if we keep doing this. And it's also not allowing either of these guys to break out into other roles. We're hamstringing these wrestlers from being able to do what they can do with each other with other people. Their influence isn't being allowed to be spread, and it's also giving the writers a fucking excuse to not do something more with these guys. Oh, let's just throw Zayn and Kevin Owens back out there again. They'll entertain.
Yeah, but common sense wise, can they do what they do with each other with anybody else on the roster?
Maybe
Probably not.
Maybe not. But we're also not getting an opportunity to find out either. We're not seeing anything working. We're not seeing anything failing. We just see this one show that keeps going on and on. It's starting to feel, it just frustrates me because I know these guys can do more things with other wrestlers. They can bring this enthusiasm to other matches and other storylines. Granted, if WWE lets them.
Yeah, that's
and I think, and that's the great thing here.
You'd rather see something different, like have like Sami Zayn come out with Bob Backlund in his corner, because you were talking about writers. I think the further the writers stay away from this feud, the better this feud is. I think the more you interject WWE into this feud, the more contrived it's going to feel.
And they're not going to, because everything is so perfect here. But we don't need WWE to interfere in this feud. What we need more of is WWE to get the hell out of the way of wrestlers who know what the fuck they're doing. Which
is what they've done here.
Except that at the same time, WWE's hemming them in. They're not letting them do anything else. They're not letting them have this with anybody else. So nobody else gets to do this. I mean, hell, what if we get, pick whatever random person you want and put him with Kevin Steen in a program where Kevin Steen gets to call the shots with the other wrestler. We don't get to see that other wrestler pick up on this and draw their own inspiration and create their own personalized feud with Kevin Steen.
Yeah, but you have to wonder, it goes back to, will WWE let them do that? Well, it's so damn micromanaged. You know, it's like, are they going to trust anybody else to get in the ring with either one of these guys and do what they can do in the ring together?
I think if WWE can trust Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to do this, they have the capability to trust other people. I mean, what is the worst thing that can happen? It fucking fails and they start moving it to SmackDown. That's it. And obviously that's not a severe detriment to the careers of a lot of people, because there's a lot of wrestlers on this roster who are just spinning their wheels in nothing feuds and have done so for several years, and they're completely satisfied with that, and the writing staff is satisfied with that. You know, it's not been a death knell, but they are just missing.
But in a way, it has been a death knell, because that's basically, if they put them in an area that fails or that's stale, or that the fans don't respond to, or that Vince loses interest in, it's like, that's all they can do. So this is all we're ever going to let them do. And that goes back to my point of, well, okay, you put Steen in there with someone else, you put Zayn in there with someone else, and they don't live up to the level of Steen and Zayn together, then what does that do to, not only the two guys that you put with them, but also those two guys who we know can go at that higher level? I think they need to be more solid in their positions in the company and with the fans before they really start offshooting them into something completely separate from each other.
They've been on the main roster for a year now. How much more solid do they need to be? I mean, clearly, Sammy
was out for a while with his shoulder.
This is still obviously match of the night, and I think this is one of the biggest. Fans popped big for this, maybe the biggest of the whole show,
except for Bayley. Yes.
Well, I don't know if we can count Bayley quite yet. I mean, enthusiasm.
Except for her entrance. I mean, she got the biggest pop of the whole damn night.
Oh yeah, for entrance alone, yeah, Bayley clearly blew that out of the water. But just overall fan appreciation, fan interest in this match, nobody was sitting on their hands here at all.
Yeah.
You could have sold the chairs right out from underneath their asses. They weren't using them anyway. So here's something that I really think about. We talk about, years past in the Monday Night Wars, and we talked about how WWE was best when it had competition. I don't think it necessarily was WWE's best when they had competition. I think it was best when WWE wrestlers had more creative control. And that's definitely what we had during the Monday Night Wars, especially from WWE. Writers couldn't keep up fast enough. So wrestlers had the opportunity to say, well, let's try this and let's try that. And the writers are like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And Vince was all in. Hell yeah. We've been doing this for how many ever weeks now to keep up because we feel like we're running behind. Let's keep doing this thing that's working. And what was working is letting wrestlers be wrestlers.
And there needs to be more of that. I would love if there was more of that.
But we can't get more of that if two of the best representatives of people who can set matches on fire and set their opponents on fire and you just feel that intensity, if they're just locked into the same unending battle with each other and everybody else is on the not feeling it.
It'd be great if they had more freedom and could do not what they did in the Attitude Era, because I don't think that would work anymore.
No.
Looking back on it, it really doesn't, work now like we thought it worked then. But let them go out there and be themselves and give, a little humanity to these roles, quote unquote, that they're playing on television. It's so much. That's like, this is the perfect example. No Way Jose on this week's NXT. I like him. He's entertaining.
Yes.
Very entertaining. I enjoyed it. He was starting to grow on me. It's like, okay, I can see this guy, being an entertaining wrestler. The promo after the match. Do you know I liked him 100 times more after that promo than I did before?
Yeah, absolutely.
45 seconds. That was all it took to see a little bit of the person and a little bit of depth and a little bit more than the dancing happy, yay, fun guy.
Yeah.
Give me some depth. Give me something to invest in.
And the great thing was that the commentary team set this up perfectly. They talked all throughout the matches. Yeah, the guy you see on the outside is dancing and jovial, but you look in his eyes, and there's a monster ready to be unleashed. And he let that monster out of the cage just a little bit after that match.
I know, and it was so great.
Absolutely. Another tag team I will say call this out is definitely Enzo and Cass. When I first saw them a couple of years ago, that stupidest fucking gimmick ever. Stupidest thing ever. But they lived it. They lived it. You can't fake what they're doing. They have personified that, and they go out there every time and they live it, and the fans know it. Contrast that to like The Miz. Yeah, he's a stuck-up character and we don't like him, but we know that is absolutely just a character. That's not Mike Mizanin. That's The Miz.
Yeah, and fans, I think, especially fans that grew up in the time frame and the era that we did, we were used to seeing more humans, more humanity, and less caricature. Especially if we weren't, entrenched in WWE. We were used to seeing guys like Dusty Rhodes and, Magnum TA and Ric Flair and the guys that talked and the guys that got over as much from talking as they did from wrestling. And they gave us something to get invested in week in and week out.
Yes.
Because we not only saw their quality ring work, but that we heard the story behind it.
Yes.
And we heard them vocalize that and, heard that heart and that passion, and that's what's missing now.
Yes.
And with that No Way Jose promo was like, and I even tweeted it out, it's like, okay, this guy's growing on me. I kind of like him.
Yeah.
And then after that match, it was like, okay, now I really like him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just gave me something to invest in. You gave me something that seemed real, looked real, felt real, sounded real, and now I got something to, care about where this person is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to bring this all around back circle, that's definitely what we get with Owens and Zayn. We need more of that. And these guys are like patient zero here with this. Let them break out here and start infecting everybody else.
And it would be wonderful if they could do that, but Vince McMahon has like got his thumb on everybody's fucking head. It's like there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I honestly can't
so
wait.
Much they're allowed to do, and it's like just pisses me off.
Yeah,
Some guys need to be scripted to the nth degree, and some guys you can trust to go out there and be like, okay, we're going to give you an inch, give you a foot. Don't take advantage of it, just do it.
Yeah. So I can't wait till Vince McMahon decides to retire. I can't wait till anybody else but Triple H is taking over things as far as the booking goes, because you see what NXT, what he allows on NXT. He's just chomping at the bit to be able to bring that to Raw and SmackDown.
And I would love it if he could, because I think the fans would appreciate it so much more. I think that a lot of the bad publicity and bad press from opinion writers like us would get downplayed a lot more, because we would be getting more of what we want.
Yes.
And more stuff that instead of it's just mindless entertainment, is stuff that actually kind of invests more than, 3 free hours on a Monday night. It actually it speaks to something in us. Like the Hard Times promo. There was a reason that was so good and still holds up today. It's because it touched you. It was something, that you could grab onto and, like I said, invest in. And that's what you need more of. If WWE is going to be a scripted show, then damn it, script it to the point where we have a reason to tune in and week out. Give us characters we can relate to and people we can root for and people we can hate and, not just people we tune in to see.
Yes.
Give us a reason to tune in to watch these guys and women.
Indeed.
Stevie J, say normally get on the show.
Stevie J, please say what you just said in the chat.
I said, I'm not sure I can go back to talking about Battleground after this.
The match that stole the show was the match that stole the podcast, apparently.
Yeah. Honestly, what am I going to talk about after that?
The fact that Shampoo Boy got beat clean.
That
was kind of the shock of the night that Ambrose walked out with the title. I was not expecting that at all.
Well, actually, the betting odds had him as the minus 1,500 favorite going into the pay-per-view.
I was expecting to go with Rollins. I wasn't. The cynical side of me said Reigns will win. You know, the snarky, cynical side did. The optimistic side said no, Rollins will win. No side said Ambrose would win.
I think Jason and I both had a similar conclusion last week. He can correct me if I remember it wrong, but I think we both said something to the effect of they really should give Ambrose a chance, but they're probably not going to, and they're probably not giving Reigns a chance because he just failed, so it's probably going to be Rollins.
Yeah, my thoughts were that the title was going to be won by one of the two competitors from Raw so that they could put the big gold belt on SmackDown. But boy, did they throw me a curveball.
Yeah, well, I felt like I was throwing a curve too when I agreed with you on the show, and then I looked at the betting odds. I was like, maybe I should have called for Ambrose to retain, but too late now. I already said it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Raw coming up with their own title, and I saw Raw. I mean, it's the same thing though. It's like Raw just wanted to bury SmackDown and say that they're the A show, so they came up with the Universal title because Universe is bigger than World.
Yeah, Raw's just got to go one better. They could have gone with Intergalactic, but I don't think that would have sounded as good, and probably half the roster couldn't pronounce it. So
that'd be a Beastie Boys title there.
All I know is when they said Universal title, I was like, wait a minute, doesn't Puerto Rico already have a Universal World title?
Do they? Does IWA or somebody down there have a...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's
Universal
like...
sounds like...
I could swear that at one point Alberto Del Rio was like the WWC Universal Champion. I could be wrong.
There have been Universal Champions before, but I don't know if there's a current one. The name's just stupid. I mean...
Stupid, yeah. Stupid name for a title.
It's not a great...
You know, gotta pander to the WWE Universe. Can't just call them fucking fans.
Yeah. Well, anybody have any thoughts on Rusev and Zack Ryder?
Another match that didn't go the way I thought it would because I thought both titles would be switching brands, but hey, they threw me a curveball again.
And what about Ryder's red, white, and blue USA outfit? That was pretty out there.
I was like stuck Sting and Savage and somebody else in a tumbler and rolled him around for 30 minutes and out popped Zack Ryder.
Well, I thought it was a cross between early 1990s Sting and Vanilla Ice.
And here I was from the Bash in 90 and Macho Man from sometime. I can't remember when he wore that tasseled red, white, and blue thing. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Here I was thinking, well, hell, Heath Slater's not doing anything with his gear right now, so.
Actually, I think the best part of that match to me was the aftermath of the match and not the match itself. When Rusev just stared at Mojo Rawley like he was the biggest geek on the planet.
Did you see Rusev's tweet?
Who let the fan into the ring?
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody jumped out of the crowd, got in the ring. Security needs to be better.
And then,
just looked at him like, I could kill you.
Like, come on, guys, make this hard for me. You're not even trying. Rusev is consistently one of the top 5 guys in WWE on Twitter.
He's so great.
He is. He's fabulous. That's why
he and Luke
lose
Harper
the title
are
now
really
or
good.
ever. Oh, they're both excellent. But yeah, this was not what Jason and I had predicted, but oh well. And we were wrong also about the Intercontinental title match between The Miz and Darren Young.
That was just weird.
Yeah, I almost felt like Bob Backlund went off script there. I don't know if he was supposed to rip up his shirt and freak out, or if that was just Backlund being Backlund. I don't know.
Bad.
There's no telling with him. It's just he scares me. I mean, back when he was actually champion, and this is, I can honestly say something we're talking about on this show is before my time. I think it was long before I started watching wrestling. Hell, might have been long before I was born. When he was champion, he looked like Opie. Guy next door, friendly dude. As he got older and older, he's like that creepy ass, freaky, scary child molester on the corner that you don't want to get anywhere near because he'll kill you. You know, he's like a Criminal Minds psycho. It's like, he's just scary. He's not fit for children. Just get him off television.
And he wears that Orville Redenbacher outfit, which is just adds to the creepy factor.
That, and I think he's missing a tooth now, which just adds to the horribleness of it.
Plus, I wonder if he didn't actually get scratched up legit when Marie slapped him.
That or it might have knocked a screw loose and he just went batshit.
Yeah, it was a weird ending.
It's not too far from where he is now to batshit. That's like 0.2 degrees.
Yeah, but he's not nearly as creepy. I mean,
and that was
he
one of the
does.
reasons that kind of felt like a throwaway pay-per-view to me. It's like you had that finish, and it was a title match with that finish on a pay-per-view, and it's like, okay, this is a throwaway pay-per-view.
Yeah, I have a hard time arguing with that. I take the tack Abby did earlier that if I had low expectations going in, it was better than what I expected.
Yeah, I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I mean, I enjoyed some of the, I enjoyed Zayn and Owens. I liked the way they opened the show with Bayley. I liked the outcome of the main event. It wasn't so predictable. And the things that were predictable were good. Here,
I'll tell you what I enjoyed about the show.
Go ahead.
When it went off the air?
No. What helped me enjoy this show a lot was Carlos Cabrera and Marcelo Rodriguez, the Spanish commentary.
Yes. That has become your new drug of choice, is listening to any commentary other than WWE's English commentary.
Was it Kevin that said he wanted to hear the German stream?
Yeah. I mean, I
know it was somebody.
I got to hear a little bit of the German talk, and I'm thinking, wow, how much tougher and rougher would WWE sound in German?
And did they live up to it? Were you impressed?
I have no idea. I don't know how to tap into a German stream.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd actually done it.
No, just when they do the round table going to all their broadcast partners and you start hearing them talk.
Karsten Schaefer and Sebastian Hackle.
I felt really bad for Cesaro. You can tell he's just not happy.
Well, he intimated as much during the draft. He was kind of going into business for himself on that promo when he was drafted.
Yeah, and then on the round table when they had him up there, either on the pre-show or during the show, it's like, why the hell am I up here instead of in the ring? You got to kind of feel bad for him. It's like, he's so good, but Vince sees him a certain way, and he's never going to get out of that box now.
I kind of think Alberto Del Rio has been stuck in that box ever since he came back. He is so much better than the way they use him.
And that was another reason that made me want to just not watch SmackDown again when he was eliminated from that. It's like, really? Mm-hmm. They do not want to push him at all. I mean, he's over, and they need a guy that can get over when they go to Mexico, when they go to border towns, and if they're just going to keep jobbing out Del Rio, what's the point?
Well, isn't it Triple H that reportedly or apparently has issues with him or something?
I hadn't seen that report, but I wouldn't be shocked either.
But did it come out today that Del Rio has in his contract that he can leave anytime he's not happy?
If it did, again, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think it came out.
On Top Rope Press somewhere?
No, I haven't. No, I saw it several other places though, that he's, got a clause in his contract that he can pretty much leave whenever he wants to.
The damn it, Paige, keep him happy.
Well, they split up him and Paige, just like they split up, Cass and Carmella, and it's like, why do that? Just because you can, you petty little old out of touch shit, just because you can?
Yeah, Vince seems to delight in screwing with people. What can I say?
I know, and it's so ridiculous. It's like, why do this shit? You would think you would want your talent to be as happy as humanly possible, considering what they go out there and do.
Somehow I'm just reminded of a promo he cut, and I don't even remember who he was saying it to or why, but he was just screaming at the top of his lungs, "This is Vince McMahon's world, damn it! This is my world!"
I don't like his world.
Or his universe.
Or his universe.
Well, what are we going to do? As I just told somebody on Facebook a couple minutes ago, hey, they're the biggest company in the world. If they want to be hypocrites and idiots, what are we going to do? We, as wrestling fans, we don't have the power to stop them.
No, we just watch more New Japan.
Indeed.
That's about right.
So let's, to wrap it up then, let's sum up when the next couple of New Japan G1 Climax shows are so everybody can tune in.
Don't we have 3, don't we have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday?
3 straight
That's how
days.
it's been
That's
going.
awesome.
It's been 3 on. That's about how it goes. You have got one coming up Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Are they all at 5:30 a.m. Eastern?
NJPWworld.com.
No, let's see. 30th, that is Saturday, is at 5 a.m. Sunday is at 3 a.m. And Monday is at 6 a.m.
They're messing with the times.
Yeah. So Saturday morning show is at 5 Eastern. Sunday morning show is at 3 Eastern. And Monday morning show is at 6 a.m. Eastern. So I have to do math in my head, which is never a good thing.
All that exciting G1 Climax action for just 999 yen a month on NJPWworld.com.
That's right, and 999 yen is $9.56.
And it's still better than
the WWE.
Yeah, and better.
Definitely. Cheaper and better. Speaking of things that are better than anything else you can get out there today, let's do some plugs. And Abby, why don't you go ahead?
I will plug Top Rope Press, and I will plug Angry Marks. And let's see, you can find me on Twitter at Abby A, where I am always making fun of Thomas' hair, especially today, since his braids today were gray or white, and I do not understand that.
I don't either. I don't have an answer for you on that one.
You know, I asked him about it on Twitter. Does he answer me? No. I compliment Mirafuji. I get tons of likes. You know, he appreciates. That's why Mirafuji is better than Tom.
And you tweet Barbonaro Cavario anything, and you'll get a reply.
Yeah, I could probably tweet him that he's an idiot from hell, and he would retweet it and like it, kind of like Cody Rhodes, kind of like Cody Hall. Just, you know, mentioning his name. Then a year later, he'd realize he was insulted and blocked me.
Yep. All right, before I go to Jason for his plugs, Kevin had a question he wanted to ask. So, Kevin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stevie. I'm appealing to the Angry Marks community and anybody who's wrestling to this podcast to kind of help me figure out this conundrum. And here is the conundrum. I recently visited WWE Network and looked on the archives for WCW Monday Nitro. And I stumbled upon the episode which was dated for January 4th, 2001. The episode itself was a best of 2000 episode where they went over the best matches in the year 2000. The show is hosted by Mike Tenay and Tony Schiavone, and the first match that they highlight is a powerbomb match between Sid Vicious and Jeff Jarrett for the WCW United States Championship. And the reason I'm asking for this help is because on the best of 2000 archive that they're broadcasting here, during this match, it is Tony Schiavone on commentary along with a man that I believe Schiavone calls Armando, and Abby's listened to it and she thinks maybe it's Mondo. But either way, it's an individual with either a Latino or Hispanic or Mexican accent. And at the start of the broadcast, the individual mentions that he has been hanging out with the NWO a lot lately, and the only non-NWO person he's hung out with is Mean Gene Okerlund. And they make a few jokes back and forth, and they call this match. I don't remember this person. And as Abby and I went back to the episode that this broadcast comes from, which is the January 3rd, 2000 broadcast of Monday Nitro, when you watch that, the commentary on that is Schiavone and Mike Tenay and Bobby Heenan. And you even see the video pan to the outside. You see the three of them sitting at the broadcast booth. So for some reason, this match had the commentary redubbed, and we can't figure out why exactly. Abby has postulated that perhaps it was at a time that Bobby Heenan was no longer with the company and the company didn't have permission to use his voiceover work, or perhaps they just didn't want to pay him any additional fees for it, so maybe that's why they redubbed it. But that brought up the question of why not just redub it with Tenay and Schiavone, since they're both still with the company and they're the two who are hosting this particular recap show. Nonetheless, we can't figure out who this Mondo or Armando is, or whoever this person is. We don't recognize the voice, and going through the WCW archives of 2000 and 2001, we can't find a Mondo or Armando associated with WCW. And we thought, well, maybe it's Armando Estrada, and WWE redubbed it for some reason. But the voice is definitely not Armando Estrada either. So, we don't know. So, if you don't mind, please give a listen to this particular episode of WCW Monday Nitro. Again, it is the January 4th, 2001 broadcast. And the first match is Sid Vicious versus Jeff Jarrett for the United States Championship. And that came from the January 3rd, 2000 broadcast of Nitro, if you want to compare the difference and see that the match has definitely been redubbed. So if anybody can figure this out, give us a shout out on our website. You can contact us there directly. You can contact us at Facebook as well on the page Angry Marks.
All right, that's a challenge going out to all of our listeners to help Killy Kev solve this mystery, and we'll do a little research on it on our end as well. In the meantime, Jason, what do you have to shill?
One thing that I don't want to plug from the WCW era is WCW Sin. Don't watch that because Sid Vicious puts his leg on backwards.
Ooh.
It's just disturbing to watch.
I can't watch that. I can't.
So yeah, public service announcement, don't go out and watch that match. That is very disturbing.
Good old JR, by God, it's broken in half.
It literally, the first time I watched it, made me sick.
His leg bends in a place that legs aren't supposed to bend.
His leg did what Chris Weidman did to Anderson Silva.
Oh, you had to remind me of that too. Stop.
Yeah, well, it's that brutal.
No.
What do I have to plug? Yeah, I can plug myself on Twitter. I'm at Great Sudoku. I do sometimes tweet New Japan when my internet and television and whatnot cooperates, unlike this morning when technology just hated me this morning, so I kind of gave up. But I did see the Ishii match, which was just brutal, so definitely check that out. On what I'm going to plug next, New Japan World. That's 999 yen you can spend a month. You can check out my cooking blog, my vegan cooking blog at veggiebending.wordpress.com. And of course, check out AngryMarks.com.
Absolutely. So, Thursday night AMP covering a wide range of topics and some a little more in depth than I thought we would this week, but that's what makes the show unpredictable and fun. Unlike certain booking from certain companies, you never quite know which way we're going to go, so you want to tune in every Thursday night and see what happens. For myself, Stevie J, for Jason, aka Great Sudoku, for Abby, and for our producer, Kelly Kev, thanks for listening, and of course, follow Jordan at Jordan J. Garber. Good night, everybody.
Too late to be forgiven. It's your time.